Prologue: the silence between stars. For most of galactic history, space had rules. Every species learned them the same way, by surviving long enough not to break them. You do not expand too fast. You do not fight without certainty. You do not provoke the unknown. And above all, you do not resist extinction once it is decided. The galaxy was old, patient, and orderly. Civilizations rose, plateaued, and faded like sparks in a controlled fire. The elders watched. The archivists recorded. The Wardens enforced. Then humanity appeared. At first they were insignificant: one star, one system, loud radio noise, crude propulsion, emotional transmissions leaking into the void. They were catalogued as species 917H, expected survival time, 4,000 local cycles. No one paid attention. That was the first mistake. Chapter 1: the day the humans answered back. The Kalari consensus chamber had never been silent before. 1,000 species were represented there, beings of plasma and chitin, crystal and thought. They communicated through harmonics, light pulses, probability fields. Noise was unavoidable. Yet now silence reigned. At the center of the chamber floated the holographic projection of a destroyed human colony. Atmosphere vented, cities fractured, orbitals shattered into debris rings. The Wardens had acted efficiently. Species 917H has exceeded expansion thresholds, intoned the Archivist Corps. They resisted corrective action. Termination protocols authorized. Approval rippled through the chamber. This was routine until a junior observer interrupted. "There is a response." Confusion followed. "Clarify," demanded a Warden Prime. The observer adjusted the projection. A new signal appeared, originating not from a remaining colony but from the wreckage itself. It was narrow band, directed, intentional. A human voice filled the chamber, translated imperfectly. "This is Captain Mara Ionescu of the civilian ship Wayfarer. You destroyed our world, you missed us." Laughter, alien, distorted, spread briefly. Then the voice continued. "We are recording everything, every coordinate, every energy signature, every frequency. We are not asking you to stop." The human paused. "We are telling you what happens next." The transmission ended. The consensus dismissed it as bravado. That was the second mistake. Chapter 2: What humans do when cornered. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the smartest. They were not the oldest. What they were, however, was adaptive in a way the galaxy had never quantified. When the first colonies fell, humanity did not retaliate. They changed. Ship designs became asymmetrical, modular, unpredictable. AI cores were no longer centralized. Weapons systems became redundant beyond reason. Most concerning of all, humans stopped broadcasting. No radio chatter. No diplomatic signals. No distress calls. They vanished into the noise. The archivists debated for decades whether the species had collapsed. Then a Warden fleet disappeared. No debris, no battle signatures, no survivors, just absence. Chapter 3: The recording. The turning point came when the consensus received a file, not a transmission, a delivery. It appeared simultaneously in every major archive node across the galaxy, bypassing encryption layers thought mathematically absolute. The file contained one thing: a recording. It showed a Warden command vessel drifting powerless. Hull intact, crew alive. Then humans boarded, not soldiers in uniform, engineers, medics, civilians. They moved methodically, sealing breaches, stabilizing life support. They treated the wounded Wardens. A Warden Prime demanded explanation. The human leader looked directly into the recording device. "You thought we'd fight like you. You thought we'd burn out fast. You thought extinction would make us small. And closer. We don't win by being stronger, we win by lasting." The recording cut to star charts, thousands of them marked with human presence. Hidden stations, nomad fleets, generation arcs, automated shipyards embedded inside dead stars. Humanity had not been fighting. They had been preparing to never stop. Chapter 4: The vote that never finished. For the first time in galactic history, an emergency motion was proposed. Cease Warden operations against humanity. Debate erupted. They are unstable. They are unpredictable. They violate containment logic. Then a final data packet arrived, projected future models. Every scenario in which humanity was opposed resulted in the same outcome, not immediate defeat, but eventual collapse of galactic order. Humans did not need to conquer, they would outlast. They would adapt to every countermeasure. They would remember every wrong. The Archivist Corps calculated silently for one full cycle. Then it spoke. Conclusion reached. Species 917H is no longer classifiable. The chamber waited. New designation required. The human voice returned, live this time. You finally listening, no one interrupted. Here's the rule you missed. When humans stop talking, it's because we're already everywhere. The transmission ended. No vote was taken. The Warden stood down. The stars, for the first time in recorded history, stopped pushing forward. Epilogue: why the galaxy slows down now in later cycles, young species would ask. Why are there regions no one enters? Why do the elders avoid certain stars? Why do the Wardens hesitate? And the answer would always be the same, because that is where humans went quiet. And what happens if we go there? A pause. They will not attack you. Another pause. They will simply remind you that the universe is no longer empty, and it is no longer patient. Chapter 5. The species that would not settle. The consensus expected humans to stabilize. That was how every other species behaved after recognition: define borders, consolidate territory, negotiate permanence. Humans did none of that. They did not claim systems. They did not erect monuments. They did not declare capital worlds. Instead, they moved. Entire populations lived aboard drifting habitats, rotating crews through artificial suns. Cities were dismantled and rebuilt elsewhere, sometimes leaving nothing behind but altered gravity scars and cold fusion residue. To the archivists, this was madness. To the humans, it was memory. They remembered burned worlds. They remembered how stillness had made them targets, so they decided never to be still again. Chapter 6. The first ally. The Ilari were the first to approach humanity directly. They were a soft-bodied species, luminous and slow to anger, native to nebulae where radiation would flay most carbon-based life. They had survived by being useful mediators, translators, observers. They found the humans by accident. A Ilari pilgrimage drifted into a region believed empty. Their sensors detected impossible things: heat without stars, motion without engines, structures that unfolded when observed. Human ships emerged, non-threatening, weapons cold. The Ilari expected interrogation. Instead, they received food. Actual food, engineered for Ilari biology, nutrient-balanced, presented without ceremony. A human representative spoke. You're far from safe lanes. You can stay until your drives cool. No charge. The Ilari asked the obvious question. Why help us? The human paused. Because no one helped us early enough. That was how the galaxy learned something critical. Humans did not seek domination. They sought witnesses. Chapter 7. The war that never happened. The Wardens prepared contingency plans regardless. They always did. A classified Operation Total Silence Protocol was drafted. It involved synchronized strikes on every known human asset, simultaneous enough to prevent adaptation. The simulations failed, not because humanity won, because humanity was never fully present in any scenario. Too many unknowns, too many hidden redundancies, too many systems where humans might be. Then a junior strategist made a fatal observation. What if humans don't respond at all? The room went still. What if, the strategist continued, they simply leave, scatter further, remove themselves from causality, make us chase ghosts forever? The Wardens realized the truth too late. War requires a target. Humanity had become a condition, not a place. The operation was shelved. Officially. Unofficially, fear spread. Chapter 8. The Human Method. The elders eventually requested a cultural exchange. Not diplomacy, analysis. A single elder mind was allowed to interface with a human archive node. It expected chaos. It found documentation, painstaking records of loss, databases of failures, logs of catastrophes annotated and preserved. The elder mind asked, "Why retain suffering data?" A human archivist replied, "So we don't mythologize ourselves." The elder pressed further. "You could erase these memories. The human shook their head. If we forget what we are capable of enduring, we forget what we're capable of becoming. The elder mind disconnected early. It reported one conclusion: humans do not fear pain, they fear stagnation. Chapter 9, the last warning. It came without fanfare. A short message, routed through every major galactic channel, unencrypted and unmistakably human. We are not expanding, we are not retreating, we are not waiting. A pause, deliberate. We are coexisting if you let us. Another pause. If you don't, history suggests we'll adapt faster than you plan. No threats, no ultimatums, just precedent. The message ended with coordinates, not human space. A dead system, one where an aggressive species had vanished centuries earlier, erased by Wardens. The implication was clear. Humans had learned the galaxy's secrets, and they remembered who used them. Chapter 10, Why Even the Stars Listened. Centuries passed. Trade routes shifted subtly, avoiding certain regions. Warden patrols rerouted without explanation. Expansion slowed. Young civilizations noticed. They asked why no one pushed further anymore. The answer, recorded in 1,000 variations, remained consistent. There is a species out there that learned how fragile empires are. What do they want? The elders answered carefully. They want time. And if we threaten them, a long silence followed. Then they will give you eternity to regret it. Epilogue. Humanity unclassified. The Archivist Corps made one final entry. Species 917H status, uncontainable disposition, persistent threat level, contextual addendum. Do not provoke, do not corner, do not assume silence equals absence. Final note, appended much later. They are still recording. They always were.